Hello everyone. Today I'd like to introduce the Commuter Benefit program. If you work for a company and currently you pay for your commuting expenses out of pocket, there is a good chance your employer offers commuter benefits. If they do, I highly recommend taking advantage of it. You could save anywhere from 20% to 30%. By the way, before we begin, English is not my first language, so I may mispronounce words or say things in a way that is unclear. I appreciate your understanding. Thank you. When I worked for a company in Hawaii, my commuting costs were fully covered. However, after the pandemic, the workplace structure changed and I had to start paying for transportation myself. On top of that, the cost of living skyrocketed. Just when I was feeling the pinch, I discovered the Commuter Benefits program. If your company used to cover parking fees or bus fares but no longer does, they may have shifted to offering a pre-tax commuter benefit instead. According to my research, many companies that previously covered transportation costs have made this switch because they see it as a way to reduce their tax burden. These days, it's becoming less common for companies to fully cover commuting expenses. Instead, they promote their benefits package by saying, "We offer commuter benefits as part of our employee perks." Personally, I prefer they just cover the commuting costs directly, but given the current climate, I suppose this is the reality we are facing. One important note, you won't receive these benefits automatically. You have to apply for them yourself. If you are currently paying for your commuting expenses out of pocket, please check whether your employer offers a pre-tax commuter benefit. Some companies manage this directly, while others outsource it to third-party providers that also handle benefits like 401k plans. Now, how much are you personally spending on your commute each month? The pre-tax commuter benefit allows you to deduct that amount from your pre-tax salary before income tax and payroll taxes are applied and transferred into a separate account for transportation expenses. There are two types of pre-tax commuter account. Pre-tax parking. This account is for parking expenses incurred while commuting, whether you are parking near your workplace or driving to your nearest train station or bus stop and parking there. Pre-tax transit. This account covers costs for public transportation used during your commute, such as buses, trains, ferries, or even shared rides like Uber, if approved by your employer. Each account serves a different purposes, so it's important to use them accordingly. So how much can you set aside each month? You choose the amount and submit a request, but there is a cap. According to the IRS, the maximum for 2025 is $325 per month for each account, an increase of $10 from last year. If you use both pre-tax parking and pre-tax transit, you can utilize both accounts, meaning you could set aside up to $650 per month in 2025. However, at my previous workplace, the pre-tax transit cap was only $90, so it likely varies depending on your employer. Who typically uses both accounts? For example, someone who drives from home to the nearest train station and then commutes by train would benefit from both. Still, let's be honest, no one wants to spend that much on commuting every month. So how much can you actually save? Since the deductions are made from your pre-tax income, you essentially save the amount you would have paid in taxes. For example, if your monthly parking costs are $200 and your federal income tax rate is 20% and your state income tax rate is 10%, that's a total of 30% in tax savings. That means you save about $60 per month or $720 per year. In this scenario, you are essentially getting 2.5 months of free parking annually. Even if you live in a state with no state income tax and you still save the federal portion 20%, and to be more precise, the amount you set aside is also exempt from Social Security and Medicare taxes. Enrollment is available anytime. Unlike other benefits like health insurance, which typically have a once-a-year enrollment period, the pre-tax commuter benefit can be joined at any time. You can also change the amount or cancel it whenever you like. However, since the funds are deducted automatically from your paycheck, there is a processing period between when you apply and when the deduction begins. Most companies have a rule like, if you apply by this date, this benefit will be available starting that date of the following month. These dates vary by employer. What happens to unused balances? As long as you remain employed, any unused balance will roll over to the next month. However, if you leave your job, the IRS does not allow refunds, and any remaining balance becomes the property of the company. So it's best to manage your deductions carefully to avoid leaving money behind. How to use the benefit? Many companies or third-party providers that manage this system issues a dedicated debit card. You can use this card to pay for parking fees or commuting expenses. Alternatively, you can upload or submit receipts to the system and request reimbursement later. Depending on your employer, there may also be a post-tax commuter benefit available. At first glance, you might wonder why anyone would use a post-tax account since it doesn't offer tax savings. However, it serves a specific purpose. It's designed for situations where commuting costs exceed the monthly limit of the pre-tax commuter benefit. You can allocate the excess amount to a post-tax account in advance. For example, in 2025, the monthly cap for each pre-tax commuter benefit, parking or transit, is $325. If your parking costs are $350 per month, you can pay $325 using the pre-tax debit card. The remaining $25 would normally need to be paid out of pocket, either in cash or with a separate credit or debit card. But if you pre-allocate that $25 to a post-tax account via payroll deduction, you can pay that full $350 using a single debit card, making the process more seamless. At my previous workplace, the company that managed our 401k also handled the pre-tax commuter benefit. The commuter benefit is considered one of the fringe options within an FSA flexible spending account. Typically, FSAs are used to save on taxes for medical expenses or dependent care. So if your employer uses a provider that offers FSA services, there is a good chance they also offer the commuter benefit. I've created a YouTube video explaining flexible spending accounts, so feel free to check it out. I've included a URL in the description box below. Since the enrollment period is usually around October to November, I recommend watching it before then. In the case of the company I worked for, they outsourced the management of benefits like the 401k to Fidelity. When I opened Fidelity's flexible spending account portal, I found options for healthcare, and under the other section, the commuter benefit was listed. When you enroll, be careful to select the correct type as there are several options. Make sure you choose the one that matches your commuting needs. One final note to keep in mind. Just because the commuter benefit amount has been deducted from your paycheck doesn't mean you can use it immediately. It may take a few days to process depending on the provider. If you are paying for a monthly and the funds aren't available in time, you'll notice right away because the debit card won't work. In that case, go ahead and pay out of pocket, keep the receipt, and later upload it to the provider's website that handles the commuter benefit. They'll reimburse the amount to your linked bank account. It's not a complicated process, so please don't worry. Today's video was all about how if your employer offers a commuter benefit and you could save 20% to 30% on your out-of-pocket commuting expenses. What did you think? I hope this was helpful to you in some way. If you found it helpful, I'd really appreciate your support through a like or subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye.